Welcome to our podcast conversation on Aristotle's and Plato's timeless wisdom for modern living.
Let us welcome our hosts, Tiffany and Johnny.
Ready to unlock some ancient wisdom for modern day mental strength.
I like it.
You brought us two videos, right, on using Aristotle and Plato's philosophies to kind of level up our lives. And I gotta say, the timing couldn't be better,
Yeah.
We could all use a little more inner peace and resilience
For sure.
in this crazy world, right?
Absolutely. It's amazing how these philosophers from millennia ago, right?
Yeah.
They still speak so directly to just the human experience.
Mm-hmm.
Their insights are surprisingly relevant even now.
Totally. And what I think is really cool is that, we're not just wading through abstract theories here, right?
Right.
These videos promise practical advice,
Yeah.
habits, mindsets,
Thoughts.
stuff we can actually use.
Yes.
So should we start with Aristotle,
Okay.
the OG action taker?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Aristotle's emphasis on action and virtue, I think, is a breath of fresh air, especially in our modern world,
Totally.
where it's easy to get caught up in thinking about self-improvement, right?
Yeah.
Without actually, doing the work.
It's like that easier said than done thing, right?
Yeah.
But Aristotle was all about bridging that gap. One of the first things that struck me was this whole idea of cultivating virtue through habits. And he said, we are what we do repeatedly. And that hit home for me.
Absolutely. It's like building mental muscle memory.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Think of it less as grand gestures and more about those small, consistent actions we take every day. You want to be more patient. Practice active listening in your conversations. Aiming for more self-control. Start small. Maybe a consistent sleep schedule or being mindful of your eating habits.
So it's not about wishing for a different personality. It's
Uh-huh.
about intentionally building it one good habit at a time.
Yes, precisely. And speaking of intentionality, right?
Okay.
Aristotle also really emphasized the pursuit of knowledge, but with a crucial caveat.
Ooh, I like it.
Right. He urged us to examine all information through the lens of reason and critical thinking.
Which, come on, that is so relevant today. Totally.
We are just bombarded with information from every direction.
Every direction.
It's so easy to get swept up in the current or fall into those echo chambers where everyone just agrees with us.
Exactly. And so Aristotle challenges us to be discerning consumers of information,
Like-
to really engage with diverse perspectives.
Yes.
And to really think for ourselves. Don't just accept things at face value. Question, analyze, and form your own conclusions.
Engage that critical thinking muscle.
Yeah.
Okay, now this next one really resonated with me, and full disclosure, I am someone who's always struggled with that whole head versus heart dilemma,
Right.
but Aristotle was all about balance.
Yes.
He didn't see logic and emotion as these opposing forces.
Right. He saw wisdom in both.
Interesting.
For Aristotle, true education meant educating both the mind and the heart. This idea really resonates, I think, with this very modern concept of emotional intelligence, understanding and managing our emotions effectively, which, let's be honest, is crucial for navigating pretty much every aspect of life.
Oh, absolutely.
From our relationships to our careers, right?
Absolutely. Especially when it comes to making tough decisions or dealing with challenging situations. Understanding our own emotional landscape and developing that capacity to regulate our responses is key to building mental resilience.
Okay, so speaking of connection, Aristotle wasn't some isolated scholar.
Yeah.
He understood the importance of relationships.
Oh, yeah.
Real meaningful connections for living a fulfilling life.
He did. You're right. And he famously said, love is a single soul inhabiting two bodies, highlighting the profound impact of connection. And this isn't just some romantic notion. I think research continues to prove the immense benefits of strong social ties for our mental and emotional well-being.
It's like having a built-in support system.
Yeah.
A tribe to navigate life's ups and downs with. Now let's talk about happiness.
Okay.
Something I think we're all striving for. Aristotle had some pretty strong opinions on that, didn't he?
He did. He challenged the conventional idea of happiness as fleeting pleasure, proposing instead that true happiness, what he termed eudaimonia, stems from living a life of purpose.
Okay, so break that down for us. What does living a life of purpose actually look like?
It's about aligning your actions with your values.
Mhm.
It's about finding deep meaning in your work, your relationships, your personal growth. That's where true, lasting fulfillment comes in. It's not about chasing external validation or, temporary highs. It's about cultivating a sense of inner purpose that fuels your actions and choices.
I mean, that makes sense, but let's be real. Pursuing our purpose often requires a good dose of, well, courage.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that Aristotle saw courage as a muscle, right?
Yes.
That we can strengthen over time.
Exactly. He believed that every time we step outside our comfort zones and face our fears, we build that courage muscle.
Yeah.
It's about pushing past those self-imposed limitations and realizing we're capable of so much more than we think.
It's like that saying, everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of fear.
Yes.
Okay, last but not least, in our world of constant hustle and information overload, right?
Right.
Aristotle reminds us of something that often gets pushed aside, reflection.
Yes. He believed that true wisdom emerged from moments of quiet contemplation. In a world obsessed with doing, he encourages us to simply be.
Like hit pause and actually process all the input,
Yes.
right? Whether that's through journaling, meditation, or just spending time in nature.
Yeah.
It's about creating space for stillness and self-reflection.
Exactly. It's in those quiet moments that we gain clarity, we connect with our inner voice, and ultimately we tap into a deeper level of self-awareness. And that's crucial for navigating life's complexities and making choices aligned with our values.
I don't know about you, but I'm already feeling a little more centered.
Right.
Thinking about it.
You.
Aristotle definitely brought the wisdom on building that inner strength.
He did.
But we've got another philosophical heavyweight to explore, Plato. Ready to dive into his world of ideas.
Oh, absolutely. Plato takes us on this journey inward, challenging us to really examine our beliefs and perceptions in a whole new light.
I'm not going to lie, diving into Plato's ideas, for me at least, can feel a bit like scaling a philosophical mountain.
Right.
He's known for his abstract thinking.
Oh, yeah.
And my brain definitely leans towards the practical.
Right.
But these videos promise that his teachings, even the more, complex ones, can have a real impact on building mental strength and resilience in our everyday lives.
Totally.
So where do we even begin with applying Plato's wisdom to our modern world?
That's a great question. I think a great starting point is his concept of striving for higher purposes and values.
Okay.
Right. Plato really believed in this realm of perfect forms, these ultimate ideals that exist beyond the physical world,
Okay.
guiding us towards a greater good.
Okay, yeah, that rings a bell. His theory of forms, right?
Yes.
The idea that everything we see in this world is just a reflection of a more perfect, unchanging form. But how do we actually apply that in our daily lives? It feels a bit, out there.
It does, doesn't it? But bear with me.
Okay.
Imagine this. In a world that's obsessed with fleeting trends,
Oh, yeah.
with constantly chasing the next big thing.
Right.
Right. Plato's encouraging us to kind of look beyond the superficial and connect with something deeper, more enduring.
So it's less about achieving some picture-perfect life
Yeah.
and more about figuring out what truly matters to us at our core.
Yes.
Those values that really guide our actions and choices.
Precisely. Plato believed that aligning our actions with those values, with our own personal, good, is what leads to a truly meaningful life. And he famously said, the form of the good is the cause of all that is right and beautiful in the world.
Wow.
It's about finding that inner compass and letting it guide us towards what's truly right and good for ourselves and the world around us.
It's like tapping into that inner wisdom,
Yes.
that deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in the world. I like
Yeah.
it. Now, speaking of understanding ourselves, okay,
Plato had some pretty profound things to say about self-awareness, right?
I did.
And I know, self-awareness is absolutely crucial
Oh, for sure.
for mental strength and growth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And one of Plato's most famous teachings, the allegory of the cave,
Oh.
perfectly illustrates the importance of self-awareness and challenging our perceptions. Have you heard of it?
Oh, yeah. It's the one with the people, chained up in a cave, right?
Yes.
And they've only ever seen shadows on the wall?
Yes.
So they think those shadows are reality.
Exactly. And so Plato's point is that we all have our own caves,
Very interesting.
right? Our own biases, assumptions, and limiting beliefs that prevent us from seeing the world as it truly is.
Wow.
And these mental constructs, they shape our perceptions and they hold us back from experiencing the fullness of reality.
So how do we break free from our own personal caves?
Yeah.
How do we even know what those shadows are?
Right.
Those limiting beliefs that we're holding on to, right? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Plato believed the key lay in self-reflection.
Okay.
in questioning our assumptions
Okay.
and being open to different perspectives. It's about challenging those like ingrained beliefs and being willing to see things in a new light.
Which can be uncomfortable.
Oh, totally.
Right.
Yeah.
It's easier to just stay in our comfort zones,
Right.
even if they're built on like illusions.
Yes.
But Plato's saying that true growth, true self-awareness requires us to step out of those caves and into the light.
Yes.
Even if it's initially blinding.
Precisely. And that brings us to another, like, cornerstone of his philosophy.
Okay.
The power of reason. Plato believed that reason, not emotion, should be the driving force in our lives.
Yeah.
Now, before you jump into, like, defend the importance of emotions.
Oh, believe me, I was about to.
I know.
I'm all for honoring our emotions, not just like sweeping them under the rug.
As you should be. And Plato wasn't advocating for emotional suppression at all. He recognized the power of emotions, but he also saw how easily they could lead us astray if we let them, rule our lives completely.
Mm-hmm.
He famously said, reason is the guardian of the soul.
So again, it's about finding that balance, right?
Yeah.
Like allowing ourselves to feel our emotions fully,
Yes.
but not letting them like dictate our actions or cloud our judgment. It's about using our rational minds to make sense of our feelings and steer us towards healthy choices.
Exactly. It's about cultivating that inner dialogue between our rational minds and our emotional selves, allowing them to work together rather than against each other.
Okay, I'm with you. So we've got higher purpose, self-awareness, and the power of reason. What else did Plato emphasize for building that inner strength?
Well, this next one might seem a bit unexpected, but he was a big proponent of justice.
Justice.
Oh.
Okay, like in a like legal sense? I'm not sure I see the connection here.
I know it might seem a little out of place, but stick with me on this.
Okay.
When Plato talked about justice, he wasn't simply talking about like laws and courts. He was actually referring to a state of inner harmony.
Okay, now that's interesting.
Right.
So how does this idea of like justice translate to our own personal lives?
Plato believed that each of us is made up of like different parts.
Okay.
Our reason, our spirit, and our appetites or desires.
Okay.
And achieving like true inner harmony,
Yeah.
what he called justice, requires finding a balance between these different aspects of ourselves.
So it's about creating an inner equilibrium
Right.
where our actions align with our values.
Right.
And we're not constantly at war with our own desires.
Precisely. It's about integrating all parts of ourselves.
Okay.
The rational, the emotional, the instinctual, and finding a sense of like wholeness within.
Yeah.
And this inner harmony, this sense of justice within ourselves is essential for true mental well-being. It's about cultivating peace within, regardless of the external circumstances.
I love that because it's so easy to get like caught up
Oh,
in
totally.
those external pressures and expectations.
Yes.
Right. But Plato's reminding us that true peace comes from within. It's about mastering ourselves, not the world around us.
Yes. And that journey of self-mastery, of cultivating inner peace and wisdom, is a lifelong endeavor. Plato famously said, "The unexamined life is not worth living."
Oh, wow.
He believed that true fulfillment comes from continuously questioning,
Okay.
learning, and growing throughout our lives.
He's like giving us this philosophical nudge to never stop learning.
Right.
Never stop questioning.
Yes.
And never stop growing.
Right.
Because there's always more to like discover, more to understand, both within ourselves and in the world around us.
Exactly. And that right there, that thirst for knowledge, that openness to new ideas and perspectives is a cornerstone of mental strength because life is constantly changing, evolving, throwing us curveballs.
Yeah.
It's that ability to adapt, to learn, and to grow that allows us to like weather those storms and emerge even stronger.
It's about embracing the journey with all its twists and turns and never losing that curiosity, that desire to like learn and grow. But even like deep thinkers like Plato, with all their, emphasis on reason and self-reflection,
Right.
they didn't believe in going it alone, did they?
You're right. For all of his focus on the internal world, Plato also recognized the profound importance of community and dialogue.
Yeah.
He believed that engaging with others,
Yeah.
sharing ideas,
Uh-huh.
and challenging each other's perspectives
Huh?
were essential for like uncovering truth and wisdom.
It's so true. Even like brilliant minds need other minds to bounce ideas off of.
Totally.
Help them see things from like different angles.
Yes.
Okay, it's like that African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
I love that.
We need that support system, that network of fellow travelers to help us like navigate the complexities of life
Yes.
and reach our full potential.
Absolutely. And, that emphasis on community and connection, on surrounding ourselves with people who challenge and inspire us is so vital for our well-being.
Yeah.
Especially in today's world, where it's easy to feel isolated and disconnected.
It's like we've journeyed through like the history of thought here.
I know, right?
From Aristotle's like action-oriented approach to virtue to Plato's deep dive into reason and, self-knowledge.
Yeah.
And what blows me away is how incredibly relevant these like ancient ideas still are today.
It's remarkable, isn't it? And, despite their like different approaches, both philosophers kind of converged on this really powerful idea, the potential for self-mastery.
There's that common thread again.
Right.
Aristotle with his emphasis on building virtue through habits, and Plato with his focus on like letting reason guide our actions.
Yeah.
They both believed in our capacity to like shape ourselves, to become the best versions of ourselves.
Yes. And which leads us to a question I think both philosophers would likely pose to us today. In our modern world, shaped by technology, information overload, and constant stimulation, how much agency do we truly have over our thoughts, feelings, and actions?
Ooh, that is a loaded question.
Right.
It's so easy to just feel like we're,
Totally.
at the mercy of like these external forces just like swept away by the currents of, social media, the 24/7 news cycle, the like relentless demands on our time and attention.
It can certainly feel that way, can it?
Yeah.
But I believe both Aristotle and Plato would argue that even amidst, the chaos, we still have a choice.
Yeah.
We can choose to cultivate those small but mighty virtues every single day.
Okay.
We can choose to examine our assumptions, challenge our biases, and let reason be our compass.
It's empowering, I think, to remember that we have like more control than we often realize. We might not be able to control the world around us, but we always have the power to choose our response.
Precisely. And that ability to respond consciously, thoughtfully, and with intention is at the heart of true mental strength. It's about recognizing that we are not passive passengers on this journey of life. We are the drivers.
Love it. So as we like wrap up our deep dive into the wisdom of Aristotle and Plato, what's like one thing you hope our listener takes away from today's, exploration?
More than simply like acquiring knowledge, right?
Yeah.
I hope our listener feels inspired to like actually put these ideas into practice.
Yeah.
If there's one thing, just one, from either Aristotle or Plato that resonated deeply with you, choose that one thing and commit to incorporating it into your life this week.
I love that even like small steps taken consistently can lead to such profound shifts in our lives.
Totally.
Right? Maybe you commit to a daily mindfulness practice, even if it's just like 5 minutes of focused breathing.
Yes.
Or, perhaps you finally start that journaling practice you've been thinking about, or seek out a mentor who like embodies the values you admire.
Exactly. It's about taking those ancient seeds of wisdom and planting them in the fertile ground of your own life.
Ooh. I like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Who knows what might blossom from that? You might surprise yourself with the strength, resilience, and wisdom you uncover along the way.
And isn't that what this whole journey of self-discovery is all about? So, until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the wisdom that surrounds us.
We hope you enjoy this podcast and find this useful. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.